Somehow I like became under this impression that there's all these rules about like how you do YouTube videos and like how they have to be done. And don't post just this random video. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like there are no rules. The way that I heard it is like all these rules about YouTube and uploading schedules and thumbnails and so I'm just like going against all of that shit. And the way that I tell people is I'm optimizing my YouTube more for my business, where most people I feel like are optimizing YouTube as the business itself.
Correct.
There's a difference between hiring really great people and enabling really great people. And I think that I've hired really great people, but one of my biggest challenges has been enabling them, even if I think what they're doing is wrong or I think they're taking too long.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as your team. So the better you can hire, the better you enable them, the better the company is going to be. Ravi, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here. I wanted to start off by talking about what you're doing for marketing right now, because I know you started scaling with systems back in 2019.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost 100% sure what you were doing then is not what you're doing now. So
Yeah.
walk us through, maybe just start with the client acquisition process and we'll kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so it's actually changed quite a bit over the past few years. Just like you said, I think marketing in general has changed online. So we were like primarily an ads focused business for the longest time. That was like 90% of our acquisition was through straight video sales letter funnels, ads, instant forms, et cetera, et cetera. Recently, I kind of noticed so we analyzed I think it was like 20 or 30,000 sales calls that we did in the last 12 months. And I saw that the people that watched my YouTube channel had a significantly higher show up rate, a higher closing percentage, and a higher cash per close. Anybody that watched our YouTube opted into something from a YouTube organically. And so, and I was looking at this because our show up rate in July of last year was atrocious. It was like 35%, 40%. It was just
Seriously,
it was so
showing
bad.
up
To the call. So, and that's like super low for a sales team morale.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I had a salesperson leave me because of that.
60% chance I'm not getting
not getting on a call. And then those people might not be qualified.
Right.
And I'm still pumping ad spend through it. So it was definitely a stressful time. And so I just analyzed all of the calls that we did. And like I said, I saw that, and it makes sense. Obviously, you're like, yeah, like people that watch YouTube are going to be more qualified. So I started thinking, like, how can I more weave in the YouTube to my paid ads process? And so that's pretty much what we're primarily doing right now. I'll talk about the low ticket stuff we're doing in a second, but primarily what it is like we have top of funnel ads that are running either video sales letters, low ticket funnels, DM funnels, et cetera, et cetera. And we book calls from that. There's no doubt about it. But most of our traffic, like we host our video sales letter on YouTube. We host any training that we do on YouTube. And what happens is if someone, let's say on ClickFunnels, watches an embedded YouTube video, the next time they pull up YouTube, there's a very high chance that they're going to suggest one of my additional videos to them on YouTube.
So even just instead of a Vimeo or Wistia or whatever,
exactly, you're embedding YouTube, and then YouTube,
even though it looks terrible,
even though it looks awful, and people can hop off and whatever. But like, I don't think this is 2018 anymore. 2019, people are going to do whatever the hell they want to do anyway, right? And so and also Wistia, I mean, dude, we pay a lot of money every month to Wistia for the bandwidth and all that, and it's free. And so we started doing that, and now people will go to YouTube and then they'll watch a few additional videos and then they'll book a call. And then the other thing that we notice is that there's something on YouTube called YouTube Discovery Ads. And so it's like, for those that don't know, it's if you're watching a video on the right-hand side, if you look at the top right, it looks like it's a suggested video, like coming up next, but really it just has the word ad in like super small font. And so I was like, let's just run an experiment. And so we started running about $1,000 a day to a video sales letter that I put on YouTube. So I put my video sales letter on YouTube as a regular video, and then I started running $1,000 a day to that. And our qualified book calls literally shot through the roof. And you can't track it like you can't Hyros, like, because it's literally they're watching a YouTube video, but we could just see in HubSpot.
And when you say discovery, it's just more of like, I guess maybe on Instagram or Facebook, like boosted.
Exactly. Like it would be, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, that's almost exactly what it is. And so we would put it for like agency owners or business owners or maybe specific placements on channels. And here's some interesting stats. You'll like the numbers on this. So right now for our video sales letter, it's like, let's say $15 for a cost per lead with accurate info. And then we have about a 50% play rate on our video sales letter. So that's about $30 to get somebody to watch our video sales letter. Now, arguably with the pixel and all that, they're more qualified, but on YouTube, it costs us 16 cents for somebody to watch our video sales letter from that discovery ad. And then YouTube has another metric, and YouTube's the only platform that has this, called earned views. And it's after somebody watches that first video that you sent them to, how much does it cost you for them to watch another video organically on your channel in the next 7 days? So for us, it's 16 cents cost per view, which is a cost per video sales letter. And then it's 33 cents cost per earned view. And so they're literally watching 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos of mine for 33 cents a person.
Wow.
And it kind of all boils down to, I don't know if you've heard of this study by Google, the 7-11 full rule, but it's on average, Google did this study a few years ago. It's like billions of data points. And they figured out that on average, it takes somebody 7 hours of content across 11 touch points in 4 different locations to turn from a stranger into a buyer.
Right.
And so what we're pretty much doing is like more facilitating that 7 hours
You're
of
kind of
content.
helping push that process.
Exactly. I call it ethically and systematically manufacturing trust. That's like pretty much, it's like we're putting the content in front of them that I know is going to convert them and make them like believe us and like trust us. So they book a sales call. And it's I'm a huge, I mean, you obviously run an insane amount of ads. Like,
yeah,
I'm a huge,
too much.
Yeah,
too much.
Yeah, I know. But
Okay.
I actually learned
Facebook, bro.
Yeah, but you know how important it is for metric and ROAS and like and attribution. So you don't have any of this. So it's a little stressful to scale, but we have seen a significant increase in the qualified book calls. And the other kind of second part of that is, dude, we started seriously cranking out our YouTube content game lately.
Yeah.
And I just changed the way. Before it was like super structured, scripted videos, super high edited.
Yeah.
Like it would take me hours to script it and then shoot it, and then the media team would do it.
Oh my gosh.
Now, dude, I literally turn on my computer, turn on Loom, literally talk like I am right here, upload it, no edits. Right now I'm testing just doing a photo instead of a thumbnail itself, literally just like a regular everyday photo, so that I can get up to 5 uploads. So we're doing 3 uploads a week. I've been doing 3 uploads a week since Jan 1. And the goal is to get to 5 uploads a week in the next 30 days.
So just before we move on to that, if anyone's listening, basically 2 things I took from that is you're doing the first, putting YouTube on your funnel so that gets embedded. And then I'm also assuming if they watch it there, can they get retargeted with that as well?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yeah, it counts
so
as
they
that.
get retargeted, they get suggested
Organically,
videos.
organic retargeting and paid retargeting.
And then from there, you're also doing discovery videos where you're taking a VSL or something you think is a high level content and you're basically just boosting it. And the goal is that you're facilitating people to watch it more, and therefore you're getting better qualified book calls.
Exactly.
In terms of the content you're doing on YouTube, what is the content typically? Is it you showing something? Is you just talking to the camera? What's that content look like?
Yeah, so like the way I break it down is like the way that I'm a systems guy, so I'm like, okay, I have to create a system around it. So the way I see it is like 4 main pieces of content. One is mini courses, and that's like, I'd say it's like 70% of my content. I'm like doing Google Docs, how-tos, like Loom videos like that. The second is what I call story or ranting videos. So that would be, I just did one when I was in Vegas about why I stopped drinking alcohol. And that just like has nothing to do with business, but it kind of shows people a different side of me and how people like kind of relate to me more. The other one of them is going to be collaboration. So collaboration is like this one right here. I could take this, you give me the content, I'll chop it up and maybe put one clip of it on mine. They see you, they trust you, then they come over to me and trust me as well. And the fourth one are case studies. So these are the ones that ironically get the lowest amount of views,
but they get the
most amount of literally sales calls.
I get it,
so like what, and the other kind of thing that we do is, if you look at my YouTube description, you'll see all of my YouTube videos point. And I won't take credit for this. I actually got this when I was funnel hacking Iman Gadzi, who's a friend of mine. He was, if you look at Iman Gadzi, Hamza, there's a few guys that do this, but if you look at all their descriptions for every YouTube video, it all points to one YouTube video. And that one YouTube video is just a hidden video sales letter. Exactly what I said. So my video sales letter is not like, this is a video sales letter. It's like, here's this educational piece of content that's really disguised. I'm going to make a pitch at the end of it. And so Iman's is like top 10 business ideas in 2024, right? Which is, we see those ones all the time on YouTube. And then, he runs an SMMA coaching program. So it's like, here are these 9 ideas. And then the 10th one, SMMA. And here's why SMMA is the best. And you should go down below. So all of our YouTube videos that I'm posting every day, we're running traffic to, even if I'm not running it to the main VSL, they're all driving straight to.
And it's just in the description. Where
it's literally the
like,
first thing in the description.
It's like, here's another video.
It's like, yeah, if you want to see how we're booking 20 qualified sales calls a day through a self-sustaining funnel, which is what I call this entire thing, click here and watch this video.
Interesting.
And so it'll be like a video, they'll find me about why I stopped drinking alcohol. And that's maybe a 20-minute ranting video. Then they'll click on that video and it's an hour and 20-minute video.
And I'm assuming you can go back. So for anyone who's listening who has a YouTube channel, if they haven't done that, there's a way to go back and edit all your prior videos.
Yeah.
Like one click,
I wish that YouTube would do it, not in one click. Yeah, I have a VA do it. It's like every time I'm like, Whoa, we just launched this new call to action. He's got to literally go through. We have
All the
880 YouTube videos, so he's got to go through every one. I know. I wish that it was fast. Maybe
Is there
YouTube.
something with TubeBuddy or something
I
like
don't
that, or
know.
no?
This is a good idea. Whoever's listening right now, but it is not like right now. We just launched our low ticket community called Scaling School,
Yeah.
and I want to link it inside of our YouTube description because that's like one of our largest traffic sources. But I'm literally afraid to ask my VA because I just asked him like 2 weeks ago to update it. If I ask him again, he might quit, bro.
I want to say I'm not 100% sure. I mean, so obviously don't quote me, but I feel like TubeBuddy does it, or maybe vidIQ.
So here's the only catch-22, and if there was any kind of functionality that would be helpful, is that the other thing that we do on YouTube that's working really well is that so I'm a big like Google Doc guy. I'll create a Google Doc about what I'm talking about because I'll use it for my client or something like that. So let's say I do a Google Doc on, for example, the self-sustaining funnel. So I created a 33-page Google Doc on exactly what we're talking about here, and then I covered it in the video. And then the call to action in the video, I say, hey, you can book a call to speak with me, or if you just want this Google Doc, then you can go below and click the link. And so it just goes to a sales funnel. They opt in, they get access to the Google Doc, and then it says book a call to speak with us. So the only catch-22 about like the one change all is that we have a lot of videos that rank like #1 for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Zapier, stuff like that, that we have these that bring in probably like 50 to 150 leads a day, that if I were to just change all the descriptions, it would break all that stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it sounds, I mean, I guess I was expecting you to maybe talk more about the funnels and those things, but the biggest thing, it sounds like you just taking more like investment in YouTube, really.
Yeah, it's like it's so funny. It's like, yeah, I used to think that I had this conversation last like 2 or 3 weeks ago with my media team, but I used to think like I don't know why we like you and I got into business and we like broke all the rules and that's how we got to where we are today. But
Yeah.
somehow I like became under this impression that there's all these rules about like how you do YouTube videos and like how they have to be done. And oh, don't post just this random video like but and oh, don't run ads to it. And then I was like, wait, what am I doing? Like there are no rules. We're all like, if
Right.
anything, you're rewarded when you're the first person to do something that nobody else is doing. And so I was like, well, screw it. Let me just so yeah, I went all in, and ironically enough, even though I am pumping out easily 5 to 10 times more content, and I'm doing more podcasts. I just did, like I was telling you, I was in Vegas, I was in California.
Yeah.
I'm doing more events now than I ever did before. Ironically, I also trimmed up my media team, so I have less. We used to have 14 people on a media team. Now
Right.
we have 6.
Wow.
So I was like, this is too much waste. Like I don't want to. So we cleaned it all up, and yeah, it's like so we're more profitable. We're pumping out more content, and I'm just everything's super leveraged. So for example, this video here, we'll probably take this video, you'll post it on your stuff. If you'll give me permission, I'll post the like talking head clips on my IG. And then we'll also take maybe like this one part about me talking about self-sustaining funnel. We can post that as a video on
Mm.
YouTube, and it could even be an ad. Like all the best ads that we're running right now are podcast ads that I clipped out, and they like people think they're watching a short about a podcast, and it's real. I mean, it is, but then it's like linking to one of our products or one of the things like that.
Yeah. And is it, are those ads, are you doing the entire video, or is it just like 60
No,
seconds?
I'll find like so for short form we'll find 60 seconds, but then like I did this guy, his name's Dylan Vanas, he's in Las Vegas, and we just got his content back from the podcast I did maybe 3 or 4 days ago, and so I went through and found like this one section where I talked really in depth about the show up rate, and we have a product called Show Up Secrets. We're pretty big into low ticket, so like we have a product called Show Up Secrets, and so I literally just clipped the 60 seconds for a short, and then I think one for like a minute and a half or 2 minutes for YouTube. And it's pretty much just talking about like our whole show up rate process and how we use the sales call scoring calculator. And there's not even a call to action in it, right? But I won't say who, but while I was in California, was at the gym, kind of like what we were talking about, and someone was like, "Oh, Ravi," you know what I mean? Like, and he's like, oh, "Dude, I recognize you, and I run the paid media for this company." And I won't say the company's name is, but they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a day on funnels, low ticket funnels.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Bro, like, let's go to dinner, and you tell me like what you guys are doing." And he's like, "I can't tell you everything, but long story short, he was like, yeah, all of our best content, which of course everybody that's watching this that's in marketing is gonna be like, yeah, duh, it's like all organic stuff. It looks like it should be organic, like a regular reel or podcast." And so I was like, oh, that makes total sense. So now this one thing that I'm doing, for example, this podcast, it's like, okay, we get a short out, you post it on your stuff, we get a short out of it, we get a YouTube video out of it, and we're going to test it running as an
Yeah.
ad as well.
Yeah, no, and I found that I agree with you. I mean, I found that to be the same way. It's also easier to scale the content because I don't know. I mean, let me ask you, in the past when you're doing YouTube, did you start to almost hate it because if you put all this time and energy and effort and it didn't really hit? And now when you do it, it's like, "Oh, I don't care if it hits
Yeah,
or not
it's
because
a volume game.
right.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. And the other thing was like, not, yeah, there was all these expectations around it, and one of our values is speed, experimentation, and execution without compromising accuracy. So like, it was like I was like, I don't know, it's so hard to describe it, but you nailed it. It was like I was like waiting this one video every week, and then we'd post it like, oh my god, and now. Usually we post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The other week I had this banger video. I was supposed to put it in the content calendar. I was like, fuck it. I just uploaded and published it same day. I'm just like, all rules are out the window. And you know, a lot of people listening to this might be like new to the game, so they may not understand what I'm talking about. But maybe you'll like understand like most. The way that I heard it is like all these rules about YouTube and uploading schedules and thumbnails
Of
and
course, of
you know,
course,
and
of
so I'm
course.
just like going against all of that shit. And the way that I tell people is I'm optimizing my YouTube more for my business, where most people I feel like are optimizing YouTube as the business itself.
Correct.
So like I don't
Yeah.
care if my videos get 500 views, 1,000 views, because I have people like, for example, we were just talking about Ali Abdal,
Yeah.
who's like 6 million subs on YouTube. He was like, yeah, dude, I watch your videos. I love your videos. And like he had commented that on a video that had 500 views on it. And I was like embarrassed by that video. And this dude who has like almost 6 million.
No shit. So what was that video about? What
I
was it
don't.
about? Do
I
you remember?
forget. Oh, I do remember. It was Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertising. They talk about the 5 levels of buyer sophistication. So and I know it's like, dude, it's like the most in depth. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That for me, that's missing on YouTube. What I see on YouTube and what performs well is like surface level Lamborghini like vlog, which I'm not hating on any of that
Yeah, of
stuff. Like
course.
whatever. I'm not by any means. But what I know that I'm good at and what I know I can do every day is just talk about business and like not like high level business, but like here's the 5 levels of buyer sophistication for this book that was written 40 years ago. And let
Yeah.
me walk through all of it.
Yeah.
But dude, I've never had, since the beginning of the year, I've never had more people that I respect or admire in like the business space message me, comment, send DMs, and like, and I find it very humbling. And it's just, once again, so funny because I used to post everything what everybody told me to do, and now I'm doing this, and it's not a lot of views. If you guys go to my channel, you will be like, this guy doesn't know how to do YouTube. And every YouTube consultant I speak to is like, you're doing it wrong. But if you're indexing for growing a business, for me, it's working.
No, I agree with that. And it's funny because I started doing these one-to-ones. There's a whiteboard behind the
I
scenes.
saw a
But
few of them. I
we
like
started,
them.
we
Yeah.
started doing that, and we'll see how it goes. But I've gotten the same types of comments, and it's so much easier because instead of me trying to force feed, it's actually even more natural because I'm not even making the content up. I'm doing it as I go. And so
Exactly.
it's actually seeing people solve problems. Okay, so what I'm assuming, and talk a little bit about what you've done in the past. You're using YouTube more now. Has anything changed with your ad strategy? Are you still running to the same stuff? Talk about that.
Yeah, so I guess one of the biggest things that have changed recently is like we no longer do any targeting for any of our stuff. Like
All open.
literally all wide
Wow.
open. It's been nuts. We launched so like I said, we have like I think 4 low ticket funnels right now. And like we're getting like cost per acquisition was like relatively high. And I told my marketing director, I was like, let's just duplicate it and run them all as a wide open. And then like literally the next day they were all profitable. Like all of the audiences were, and obviously you're really good friends with Cole. Like Cole
Yeah.
was the first person that had told me that, and that I think that I don't know if he still does, but when we had talked, he had run the majority of his stuff on just wide open stuff, and his stuff is pretty niche down. And I had tried it back then, it didn't work. I think that the nice thing about low ticket funnels is that there's so much volume from leads and
Would
the
you say
pixel
it's different for
conversion.
high ticket?
I don't know, because if I'm being honest with you, I've only done the wide open and been successful with low ticket.
Right.
But also, in my opinion, the thing I love about low ticket is like with high ticket, I'm selling this like one end results. Like it's like, we'll scale your business. And it's like this big, bold promise. And it's really hard to get somebody on a call for that. But I feel like for low ticket, I can create whatever's hot in the marketplace, this like mini little product that is going to have a way higher click through rate, a way higher opt in rate, a way higher eventual purchase rate. And so, like, I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison because I know show up rates are a big problem because all of my clients are telling me right now, and like what I told you earlier, like we had analyzed it, we fixed it, and now our average show up rate's 85, 90%. So like we had
Wow.
drastically changed everything.
Huge difference.
Yeah, and so I created this whole thing called Show Up Secrets that covers everything that I changed in it, and I just blasted my email list, and it was like 100 purchases overnight, and then now we're running ads, and I think our best ad set's like not middle of funnel because that's like a 12x ROAS, but our top of funnel best ad set's like 1.5, 1.6x on low ticket. Average order value is 124,
Yeah, I mean, if you're making anything
$125.
on the front end,
That's what I'm
crazy.
saying. Like, and that's the other thing about talking to that guy that was they're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. He also like changed my perspective because he's like, yeah, well, they don't, he's not the founder, obviously, but he was like, yeah, the CEO, the founders, they don't accept anything other than a profitable low ticket funnel. So even at hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, they have to, and I'll give you another thing that's insane. This is going to blow your mind.
Wow.
So they're spending a ungodly amount of money every day. And then we're talking about like, what they're doing, optimizing. And it's like, yeah, dude. And what I'm really excited about is we finally fixed the software that our funnels are on. So we'll finally be able to adjust like what's on the funnel itself. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're telling me that you're running hundreds of thousands of dollars a day and you guys have never touched the funnel copy or any of that stuff? He's like, no, no, no. We just mess with the ads, ad copy. It's a little only just ad creatives. I was like, what? So they think they'll actually significantly increase their conversion rate now that they're able to test headline. Dude, I was so
I'm trying to understand what they're using. Like
he said they built it from the ground up, all custom,
like WordPress or something.
Yeah, like because it's volume. You know what I mean? Like they're doing volume, so it's all custom. And when I heard that, I was just like, it's just so funny because how many of us, I don't know the audience listening to this, but like I know me, I'm like so deep into the funnel, like split testing this thing versus this thing. And then it's top of funnel. But I will say what they do is they will create thousands of variations of ads like on a monthly basis. Like literally so. And so that's what we changed.
How do they do that? Did they walk you through that?
Yeah, they did a little bit. It's like, once again, I'm trying to be respectful to this guy.
No,
but
sure, yeah.
It's long story short, it's actually something that we were doing before, and I just hired a short form agency. It's what they're doing as well. But you pretty much have this like baseline content, right? And let's just say it's this hour-long podcast or something like that. And then over time, you'll have dozens of these podcasts, dozens of these short form clips, dozens of these different things. And they pretty much just Frankenstein these different clips together into creating. And if you really think about it, a lot of these reels and TikToks and Instagrams, they all are kind of Frankenstein thing. Like they're all like 1 second, 2 second clips, like Frankenstein. And so it looks like a regular reel, but really it's like maybe 30 different ads that have all performed well. But now there's a new variation, which is all these different ads clipped up together into one new ad. It's like, it's nuts that we're not at that level at all, but we're going back.
It must be a massive team.
Oh yeah, the editing team's huge. Yeah, the creative team, the editing team, the scripting team, they're all massive. Like, so we're obviously not doing that. But what he pretty much was like, yeah, I would just post your organic content as ads, and then whatever works, just keep on editing that. And actually, I'll tell you, I was listening to what was it? It was VidTow? Have you heard of VidTow? So
yeah.
I went to their mastermind in Oxford, London a few years ago, and I was talking to this guy there, and they were it was like this fitness offer where it was like dude that was sitting on the couch and he had like pizza on him. This was like 6 or 7 years ago. I forget what it is, but it was this
Mike Chang.
Mike Chang, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. 6-pack shortcuts. Thank you. Yeah, I knew you'd know. So it was him. It was like his media buyer, his media director, and they said that they would literally Frankenstein all these different ads together to create one piece of content. And they really just took like a baseline of 30 different ads, and then for years they just chopped up different and they could have the exact same ad, the same Frankenstein version, but now they just edit it with different graphics or different something else, and it's a brand new ad. And for the Facebook algorithm, it's enough of a change that it will like lower that frequency back down, and you can kind of start running it again. So it's nuts, dude. It's like, so we're not at that level. We just started with, like I said, taking that stuff that I did on that podcast and making it into ads. And if that performs well, I just took this. All I did was literally, iPhone now has that you can now edit. I'm always so bad with the dimensions of it, but it's like the YouTube size videos. Right. If you have it on an iPhone, you can now edit it to becoming a short size. So you can edit it yourself. You don't have to go into any kind of, which is cool because I never knew how to do that. And like, I just use iMovie. So I didn't know how to do that otherwise. And so I took that stuff, I just put it on my iPhone. I put it as like a real size thing, cut out that part, gave it to my media director, and we started running ads to it, and it's already generating purchases. So that's just the raw stuff, no captions, no editing, So that's what I want our new testing process to be. It's like, okay, if this really raw, rough version, wide open targeting, if that's getting, let's say above a 1.5% click-through rate, let's say 0.9x ROAS same day, like then we'll take it to the editing team, and now we'll start adding layovers, adding graphics, and then maybe give it to 3 editors to try 3 different edits, and then put that back on. And so once again, one ad has now become 3 ads. And really that one ad that became 3 ads was also one podcast that became 3 YouTube clips that became 5 shorts that's now become 5 times 3 is
Right.
15
You're using a
ads.
lot of the content. I mean, the podcast is definitely the way to go because you can get so much content from it.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of ads on the front end. Obviously, you have the nurturing on the back end with the YouTube, which I think is brilliant. I haven't really heard anyone talk about that, so I love that. Once they get through the funnel, what's the follow up process look like? Dialing, emails, text. What does that stuff look like?
Yeah, so we actually, so it used to be exactly what you said: emails, text, styling, setters, what everybody else is doing. Literally 30 days ago, we launched our low ticket community on School called Scaling School. We hit 30K MRR first 30 days, and now we're on track to do 60K our second 30 days.
Wow.
And I'm actually changing the nurture sequence from being like outbound setting people, like emails setting, to putting them inside Scaling School, trying to convince them to join Scaling School, and then having them just consume content. They're paying $97 a month, consume content there. And then there's a concept inside the SaaS world called product led growth. And so the idea behind it is like, you use Tyros or use Hyros, right? So I always use this example because they're like one of the most expensive softwares we have. And Hyros, for those who don't know, it's an attribution tracking software. And the more money you make, the more they charge you. It's like a tiered structure, right?
So then, like, on his side,
it sucks on our side. Yeah.
I'm like, I hate it.
So obviously, like at our level, you're paying thousands of dollars a month. And I remember recently, like we hit another level in one of the companies, and like we went from, I forgot what it was, let's just say $1,500 to like $3,000 or something, like $1,500 to $2,500. And I was on the call with my media director, and he's like, yeah, we got upgraded. So we just upgrade right there. And it just hit me. I was like, dude, they just added $12,000 in ARR on top of what we're already paying them. They didn't have to do any email blasts. They didn't do any text messages. I didn't get any sales calls. They just made 12,000. And it's so simple, but like coming from the non-SaaS world. And that was when someone introduced me to the concept known as product-led growth. And so most of what we do in the marketing, high-ticket coaching consulting world is like marketing-led growth. And that's like promotions and ads and emails and setters and outbound and all that, which is nothing wrong. You and I have both been successful doing that. But product-led growth, in my opinion, is like the level up from that, where you build into the products themselves a hierarchy. Like you recreate your entire product suite to where the products themselves naturally lead to the next one. And so people will upgrade on their own. And so when I heard that concept, that was when I was like, okay, well then, and I had done low ticket to high ticket before, but this is not that. This is like, I actually changed my whole business model around to focusing on the subscription Scaling School as the primary thing for the entire company, that we're no longer a high ticket business. We are a recurring business. We have high ticket sales, but that's just to fuel recurring. And so now that I have these people paying me $97 a month, how do I get them? We're about to launch a $297 a month diamond package. And then how do I get them to naturally upgrade to a 2K offer, a 10K offer, a 15K offer without getting on any sales calls?
So did you cut a lot of your sales team?
We have trimmed down a lot of our, we haven't made the full transition yet. So we still do high ticket sales all the time. Like we're still doing calls and sales with that. It's called swallowing the fish in the SaaS world. And it's like, you're making a lot of money up front in cash and you don't have a lot of recurring like software revenue. And so then eventually you have to kind of like cross, so it looks like a fish, to where you're making less high ticket but more recurring software sales, right? So we're in.
I know everyone appreciates your analogies.
Thank you. I'm not making these up. Yeah, these are real analogies. Yeah, if you're listening to the audio version, you didn't get to see me draw that fish, but it was.
I forget. If you're watching on video, it was awesome.
It was amazing. But that's the concept, is literally called swallowing the fish because it looks like a fish, and so we're in that process right now. So I told people February was one of the first times in a while we've had a month that was lower than the previous month in high ticket sales, because that was the month that we launched the subscription.
Right.
So we change it around.
Right.
But like I said, we already did 30K MRR, which I'm super proud of. We're on track to double it. And I predict that in the third month, we'll be closer to 90 to 100K, because now we've unlocked, that was just organic. Yeah. Now we've unlocked the paid ad side of things. So that's a long way of saying that instead of having like the traditional nurture process, because even YouTube as a nurture process is good, but you're competing with everybody else on YouTube. Of course. And you're not getting paid. I mean, you get AdSense, but like that's nothing. Yeah. So like this is like a real asset that people are looking to me as the expert, and I can continue to create content for them. Sure. And then they can eventually, if they want to, but even if they don't, I don't care. But if they want to, they can product-led growth. And we'll still have a sales call. But imagine if somebody's been in your $97 a month thing for 6 months, and then they want to get on a sales. It's not even a sales call. You know what I mean? Like they're getting on to pay you money, essentially.
So 2 questions on that. Some people have said, I should say, they don't like school in the sense that, well, you move people to school, but they're used to Facebook, so they're having problems getting them over. So I'm curious on your thoughts on that. And then two, in your school community, what is the content or what's the process for the $97 a month?
Yeah, so it's funny. So I literally just launched a post today where we're doing a webinar next week where I'm showing exactly how we built the school
Hmm.
thing. And dude, this just on IG, we had 800 webinar registrants. It was like, it was nuts. So I think
Nice.
that this is like a big thing that's about to happen to our industry. Um, but to answer your question, so first of all, in radical transparency, I didn't have anybody from Facebook that I had to move over.
Right.
But anybody that's come from school, from cold traffic, whatever else it is, I've never had anybody have any issues with like, oh, I don't know how to click this button. If anything, and I once again, I'm not like like whatever, you guys go to whatever you want to do, but I've not had anybody say anything bad just to me
Mm.
about school. We've had a few technical glitches, but that's just because like we're kind of doing things not traditionally the way that it's done on there.
Hmm.
But nobody's had any kind of user issues or problems with that. And there's a lot of guides and there's a community of people like showing people how to switch it over. But if I had a Facebook group, I would 1,000,000% move it over to school, mostly because like on Facebook groups, when you make a post, it's like it's the
I don't
algorithm's
see
so
it.
crappy. And on school, everybody sees it. It's like they've optimized the algorithm so much better there. And so people actually see it and they're commenting on it and like way more engagement than I've seen anywhere else. And what was your second question?
Yeah, the second question was just more about why. Well, and to back on that one, why use school and maybe not something else? Maybe you set it up in ClickFunnels or
Yeah.
go high level. And then the second one was just more around what's the content that you're
Ah,
teaching
that's right.
on school.
Yeah, thanks. So for why we use school, to be honest, like ClickFunnels go high level, I think you could probably do something similar on all of them. For the what we're going to teach next week is more about creating a membership site than it is
Sure,
like using school
sure,
specifically. It
sure.
will be around school. For me, the reason I like school is mostly because I just created a webinar around this, but it's literally what I would consider who's one of the probably the godfather of high ticket sales, Sam Ovens,
Hmm.
right? He really was like the one to introduce
Yeah,
like
start
it
everything.
started everything. And so you have the founder of it being that, and the co-founder is now arguably like one of the most famous influential business guru guys out there, Alex
Hmm.
Ramosi.
Hmm.
So you have these two powerhouses, and just like Facebook, social media, it's really almost a winner take all game a little bit. There's maybe space for like one or two additional people, but it's almost a winner take all. And so you have these two guys who came from the coaching, consulting, e-learning worlds. They have a lot of influence inside of there. And so I feel like even what I've seen so far, it's like I'll message Sam, for those the co-founder, original founder, and like, hey, it would be great if we have this. And like within 30 days, they'll add that feature to
Hmm.
school if it lines up with the roadmap, if it makes
Hmm.
sense with the roadmap. So they listen really well. They understand where we're coming from. And like I said, I feel like there's going to be a huge migration there. And um, I'm already getting sales organically from other people inside of school that are on that platform for another community. And then they're finding my community on there. So, like, that's why would you not
Yeah, I've
open
heard
that
about
up?
that
And
too.
they don't have that on some of these other platforms, or it's maybe not as easy to do it. But for example, I looked at ClickFunnels. One of the things I like about ClickFunnels is two things I like about ClickFunnels. They have a smart checkout on ClickFunnels 2.0. So if you're buying and so you have a low ticket funnel, there's an order bump.
Hmm.
Let's say you don't take the order bump, you can go through the whole funnel, and then the last page it'll show you, no matter what you did on the rest of the funnel, will be, hey, you didn't get the order bump, and they do a full sales page on the order bump. So I've seen this in 2 or 3 funnels, and that would significantly increase LTV, or even just average order value. If like for one of ours is YouTube mastery, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about here, we sell it for $97 in our low ticket funnel, and like we have a 30% take rate on that, and people love it. But in an order bump, you have this like one little tiny box to get your
Hmm.
sales message across. But imagine if you could then at the very end, after selling everything, have one more final sales page where I was able to do like a full video sales letter, and the AOV would shoot through the roof. So I like that. And the second thing that I like about ClickFunnels is they have that product led growth. They have that built inside ClickFunnels where you have a standard package, and then on every single page there's like this other button where they can upgrade to the new package, and school doesn't have that. So I'm kind of like building that into our own school community to build the upgraded thing. But all of these things I think could be easily added by school. As far as the content is concerned, I've done a lot of research on like membership communities and stuff like that. I spoke with people that have worked at Masterclass, does over 100 million a year. My old CMO used to be the CMO of Mind Valley, does over $100 million a year. Like I've bought hundreds of memberships. So I've like been really analyzing this stuff the last 6 months. And what I've analyzed, it kind of comes down to a few core concepts. The first biggest thing is you can't release all the content at the exact same time. Like if they get in there and there's 800 different things, they're going to leave
Of
because they're
course.
going to be overwhelmed with stuff. Where
Hmm.
most people are like, oh, let me provide as much value as possible.
Hmm.
So it's now the opposite. It's like actually you want to try to curate specific pieces of content that they're going to find value. And then every month for us, they'll unlock an additional piece of content the longer that they stay inside of there. So like dripping out content is a huge part of it. And that's what we do. So we have 46 classes inside of Scaling School, but they get 8 when they join, and then they get one more every single month that they're in there. They'll
Hmm.
get unlocked. They'll get a credit that they can choose. And then if they ever leave, they lose access to all of the classes all the same. So it's like a good way to kind of keep it
Yeah, the
sticky inside of there.
continuity.
The second thing is coaching calls. Now, when I first launched Scaling School a year ago, I just did it as like this low ticket into my high ticket. It wasn't what it is today. Today, it's like now my main business. Before, it was like, let's just see if I can get people into my high ticket programs. And so I was offering coaching calls. But the problem, because I was just trying to make it valuable so people could ascend, but the problem is that, first of all, it's very difficult to scale coaching calls. Even if they're group coaching calls,
Hmm.
it's like you have 600 people on a coaching call. It's pretty difficult to like, anybody to get any kind of help on there. And second of all, if you still do have a high ticket offer or you want to do an upgraded version like we do, then you're kind of cannibalizing it a little bit because now it's like, okay, they have access to the course content and they have the coaching calls. What's the difference between the $97 a month and your 5K, 10K,
Hmm.
15K package?
Hmm.
So we don't have that, but we do have 3 calls a month. One of them is a new masterclass or class release. The second one is what I call a member makeover. So we'll pull somebody from Scaling School, and I just did one last month. I have another one on Monday, and I'll pretty much do a one-on-one consultation with them. But everybody inside Scaling School is watching that, so they'll see me analyze their business, audit it, and then like tell them what to do to fix it. And then the third one is an expert event. So we'll have an expert come in there and teach like their own thing, and for me, just like my YouTube content, it's not like they sit and they just talk and like I'm not trying to be disrespectful to masterclass, but like masterclass is like very nice camera and branding, but they're kind of just sitting and talking. I
And
told
superstars. I mean, they're able to pour in the
yeah,
organic
that's what it is.
contact.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
literally a
Okay.
superstar sitting there talking to you. That's what you're
Yeah.
paying for.
Yeah.
Like for me, these people aren't necessarily superstars, but they are subject matter experts. They're like the
Hmm.
best in the world at what they do. For example, our short form agency, he's coming in and teaching how they do like thousands of pieces of content a month per client,
Hmm.
and he's showing that whole media
Hmm.
system. So he's going to bring a course you can't get anywhere else and put it inside Skill and School. So we also have that inside of there, and then
And pause real quick on the
yeah.
agency. Why are you outsourcing that versus keeping it in house?
Because kind of going back to like, so at one point, like I said, we had like 16 or 18 media team members, and there's just one thing I know, and I just don't like that. And I try to hire people, I try to hire people to manage it. And like, I was doing the math and I was paying about $150 or $180 per short when everything was said and
Yeah.
done. And then this guy, when I did the math, it was about $60 to
It's
$70
just
per
more
short.
cost
So
effective.
it's cost effective. I don't have to do any additional work. And in all honesty, this guy has way more success. Like he works with huge names than I do or I
Hmm.
have ever had on there.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I just literally moved over for that exact reason.
Awesome. So you got scaling with systems. Do you have any other companies? And if so, what do those companies do? What's your overall strategy? What's your overall plan? I mean, I know stuff changes very quickly.
Yeah, so I have a few portfolio companies. I usually don't go too deep on them because I have an NDA with 2 of
Mm.
them, so I can't go. One of them's in the financial services industry, and the other one's in like the medical industry as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
But both of those do well. I purposely chose something that wasn't in the high ticket coaching
I
space,
know.
like just so I could not be a part of this, like and learn something else and like apply that to inside of here. But it's so funny, like everything that we're talking about on this call here, it's like so, or this podcast, it's like so cutting edge. But then like you do stuff that we were doing 4 years ago in some of these other industries,
Hmm.
and you're like walking on water to these people. You know what I mean? Like one of them, the financial services one, it's like I ran an ad to a jot form and like we did $6 million in the first 9 months with 4 people. It was like it was just so funny how calls for 35, forty
No idea how
dollars
to market.
there's no competition. Like, and if there is competition, they're like out. And then when I was showing them how to do like zaps on the back end and all, they were just like,
Mind blown.
Here's 50% of my company." It's just like they're like so blown away by, and that's not disrespectful to them at all.
No,
I'm
of
super
course.
grateful for it. But the point being that like to what to us is like baby level in this
Hmm.
rapidly like fast growing industry to other more I guess slow to adapt industries, you look like you're Jesus essentially. So that's been really great, honestly, been doing that. But if I'm being really honest with you, I personally feel that like the future is going to be scaling school. I'm going all in on this. Like that's I really believe it has a huge possibility to be like the Netflix for business, if I do it correctly, and if we're the first mover on it, which I feel like we are right now. So my plan is to really scale that. I already know a few people personally that do like tens of millions, not hundreds of millions of dollars a year in membership sites.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to build it outside of my name. So Scaling School right now is leaning on my name, but I could eventually have it just like Masterclass. And do you know who
Sure.
owns Masterclass?
I
Like,
have
no,
no
nobody,
idea,
right?
honestly.
So I could just have other, like you could come in there and teach a class, and then I could run ads to your class to to your class inside Scaling School. So like that's probably the main play. And then I was having this conversation with a client earlier, but I feel like as you like progress in business, it's all just about finding better opportunity vehicles,
100%.
right? So like I started like as a waiter, then I started a done for you ads agency, then I started a coaching consulting program. Now we're launching a community, and every one of them I'm adding more leverage. And almost every single time I'm taking two steps back. Like I said, we had a down month in February because we were focused on MRR, but I'm also able to do that because I'm financially secure from the stuff that I've been doing. So we could take 10, 20 steps forward. So I think for me, the community is the next most leverage, highest value thing I can do. And then the only thing after that for me would probably be SaaS. And then maybe
Yeah.
when I say portfolio companies in radical transparency, I don't know if I'll ever exit any of them. They're all mostly just like a cash flow play.
Yeah.
But the next stage after that could be like a true portfolio where I'm actually rolling it up and maybe exiting it
Well, and
together.
to your point, and I think for anyone listening, my opinion on the high ticket space is it's a 2, maybe 3 mil max per month. You do have a few outliers, but it's very rare. And if it is, they usually have a massive high ticket. I'm talking 50K, 75K, 100K. And so I think to your point, at some point, if you want to do something outside of that, it's not about optimizing the funnel or doing these things. I think eventually, I mean, maybe you disagree, you got to go in another vehicle. And I think we've seen that with multiple guys in our industry who stepped out. Alex Becker comes to mind.
Yep.
Obviously, Alex Formosa came to mind. Sam Ovens
Sam
comes to mind.
Evans, yeah.
Because I think they saw at a certain point, hey, this is not going to work, or optimizing or tweaking is not going to work. And so as soon as they switch the vehicles, they unlock more cash flow.
And I think that you nailed it. And I think that like the high ticket world's given me so much, and we still have a lot. Yeah. So there's like nothing. And I think that the smartest people I've seen, all the people you just said, Becker, Hormozy, Sam Ovens, it's like, let's take Alex Becker, for example. He launched Hyros, but what he did first was he used his Iron YouTube coaching program to fund it. He would sell people into the YouTube coaching program for 5K. They would use Hyros. He would get feedback. He would start to get the stickiness from it. And then eventually the MRR from Hyros would surpass anything he was in. Sam Ovens said the exact same thing in a podcast that he was in as well. So like, yeah, the game, I think that the number one reason, well, I guess that's a bold statement, but as far as I know, most SaaS companies, the main reason they're taking on funds is acquisition. Other than payroll, it's acquisition. How do they acquire new customers? But if you're able to literally acquire, I have a friend of mine, they do like 3.5 mil a month, and he has a software that's attached to it because he charges 16K up front, and then like it's the $97 a month software on the back end. And so they just like the last year and a half, they've just gone on this tear, and then now he's doing like $1 million a month in recurring revenue. And you know, any other business out there, they would have had to take on so much funding to be able to do that. But he was like 3x, 5x ROAS on his ads to acquire the $97 a month person. So if you can just fuel some kind of recurring subscription, that's why I think that communities are literally like the next thing. I believe that they're the next, like, I think what high ticket and coaching was 5-6 years ago when Sam Ovens came on the scene, I predict that that's going to be low ticket recurring communities.
So going back to your community real quick, is what specifically, and what, I guess, talk about that. What specifically do you feel you're going to do that's going to be so much different than if someone else tries to also run a community?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
No, it's an excellent question. So there's a few things. First of all, there's 22 immutable laws of marketing, and the first law is the law of leadership, which is first is better than better. So first of all, we're just hitting the market hard, like ads. We're going out there. I'm talking about it the most. Let me not say that. I'm not talking about the most, but I am talking about it. And I already have a built-in audience, like roughly. So one of the reasons we've been able to do the MRR we've been able to do is just because I already have a list of people on YouTube, people that know, like, and trust me. You're right. The moat that I have, it's not as secure as if I had like built my own custom software or something along those lines. But what I do have is like day one, I have 46 classes that I can upload to Scaling School that people can come in and see, that somebody who's just starting out, let's say some of the other people that are on the platform trying to grow on, they're right now trying to market it, trying to sell it, trying to be a client success manager, trying to create the course material for it, trying to do the billing and support for it. But I already have all that infrastructure in place,
Correct.
right? Because I already have all of that from the high ticket
Hmm.
world,
Hmm.
plus all of the, for example, when someone buys Scaling School, they join. So you asked such a good question, because that's the question I ask myself every day now. How do I make what I'm doing so different than what everybody else is doing? What do I have that's a asset to me that somebody else can't do? And a great example is when you buy Skill in School, you get a one-time offer to upgrade from a $97 a month to an annual plan,
Mm.
and it's on the following page. And what they get when they get the annual plan is 3 months free, but they also get 5 years, well, 4 years of mastermind recordings from all of my. I have a 50K a year mastermind, and I've never released those recordings to anybody before. And even those 50K a year mastermind people, when they leave, if they don't renew, they don't get access to this recording. So they're like my most exclusive recordings, and it's the most in-depth stuff. I'm like pulling up my Stripe account, my ads account, like everything. I've never shown them anywhere. And so I had that as a one-time offer on our annual plan. It's like, do you want literally 4 years worth of 3 masterminds a year, 3-day masterminds, like that you get included if you just get upgrade to annual and you get 3 months free. So somebody who's maybe just getting into the scene, they don't have that asset. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They don't have.
I agree.
Another great example is Russell Brunson. He has a low ticket community called Seekers of Success, and like for people to upgrade to their annual, he has this book by oh damn, who's the guy that wrote not Habits of Highly Effective People, but what's the other famous self development book, the How to Win Friends and Influence, Dale
Yeah, yeah,
Carnegie.
yeah. Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has this like exclusive rights to all of Dale Carnegie's content. And I guess like he went to this guy in Arkansas and bought this never before seen book for Dale Carnegie that he used to charge. This guy used to charge people $10,000 a day to go look at the book. They don't get to buy it. They have to wear gloves. They have to do $10,000 a day just to look at the book. Russell Brunson went out there. He got exclusive rights to like I think most of Dale Carnegie and that book. And so now if you upgrade to the annual, you can get that book included inside.
Mm.
So it's just all about asking yourself, how do you have something that it would either be incredibly difficult or impossible for somebody else to copy that, and that's what you offer. So I'm still figuring that out as we go. But as far as I can see on the platform, like as far as the people that have had our level of success with this many clients, this much course
Hmm.
material, et
Yeah,
cetera,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
the
yeah.
only one there right now. Will there be other people that hit the scene? There's absolutely, especially as I talk more about it, there's absolutely no doubt about it. But then also the first movers advantage comes inside of here. But
100%.
I'm always trying to stay like, how do we separate ourselves from everybody else? And yeah.
So in terms of your team size, I know it's fluctuated over the years. I've definitely had mine. I had mine as big as 100. We're smaller now. What's your team look like now? Is there anything specific you do about hiring? Do you feel like you have any maybe key players that are really helping you push the business, or do you feel like you're the mastermind of the whole operation? Walk me through some of the team.
Yeah, so we have so I read a book like about a year ago called Traction, which I'm sure you
Yeah,
heard of.
Gina
And
Whitman.
yeah, so I do EOS. That's what we did. I used to not have EOS, and it's literally so funny because I'm like, dude, what do we even talk about on our meetings? Like, not, I like if I didn't have an agenda, I had no. It was like whoever just spoke the loudest was the one that like got their point across. There was no like IDS section or any of the other stuff. So I highly recommend if no one's read it to read it. And like we do kind of a modified version because that book was written a while ago, of the EOS, but it's definitely applicable. And so you have an organizational chart. I think probably one of the best hires I've made in the last 12 months. It was the director of operations.
Mm.
So like kind of like you said, I used to be the mastermind, the thought, and the way that he says it, and he's actually no longer with us, but I'm in the process of hiring another. But and I learned a lot from the first one. But he calls it a thought leader. He's like, we had a marketing call. My marketing director was on the meeting. I was on the meeting, the marketing team, the setting team, everybody was there. And that was the first meeting that he was on. And so the meeting ended, and I was like, hey, will you stay on afterwards and let's talk? And I was like, so what do you think? And he was like, you want my honest opinion? I was like, yeah, of course. And he said, I was honestly shocked at how much you were talking during the whole meeting. And that kind of hit me because it was a business that I started, and it's like, my face. And I was like, wow, I guess I never really thought of it like that. And it's mostly probably my faults. But I realized right then and there that like I was probably still hindering my team members by still trying to be like everything to everybody, answering all the questions. Like, as soon as somebody asked a question, because I've just been doing this so much, especially in marketing, I just knew the answer
Mm-hmm.
immediately. So instead of letting somebody else, I'd be like, "This is what you need to do. Okay, let's go on to this," just
Mm-hmm.
so I could get more stuff done. And so when I hired him, like, we had our annual meeting, and he's like, at the beginning of it, in traction, you're supposed to all go around and give each team leader or director like really critical advice that you wouldn't say anywhere else for them to work on. And mine was for me to speak less, which was like harsh, but I knew I needed it. And it's ironic because I know I've talked a lot on this podcast, but
That's what you're here to do.
that's
Here
fair.
it's
Yeah,
okay. Here
that's
it's
fair.
okay.
But and so when I learned that, that was when I was like, okay, even though I built the business to where, well, that's so unfair for me to say. Even though I was a main driver to build the business to where it's at today, I realized like to get to the next level, I needed to really let my team members, my directors take charge, even if it takes too long, even if they do it wrong. And I still catch myself, for example, building that one-time offer page for that annual thing. I was like, I was trying to hit record numbers for this subscription service, and so I was talking to my marketing director. I was like, "Hey, build this one-time offer for this annual thing, and like get it up, get it up, get it up."
Mm.
And he was taking so long, and I was like, "Screw it, I'll just do it." And I literally started doing it, and then like I'm halfway through it. I was like, "Well, wait, like what am I doing? Like I'm going right." So then I like messaged him back. I was like, "You know what? No, you do it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Like I need to make sure I stay in my lane." So I still kind of catch myself a little bit, but you would ask me like what was like one of the things that I've learned, or one of the things I recommend, and it's like there's a difference between hiring really great people and enabling really great people.
Mhm.
And I think that I've hired really great people, but one of my biggest challenges has been enabling them, even if I think what they're doing is wrong or I think they're taking too long. And so that's probably one thing that I wish someone had told me a while ago, and something that I'm still working on today.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as your team. And I think it's so boring. And I've heard it so many times. I'm like, sure, tell me the secret. But I really do believe is you're as good as your team.
Yeah.
And so the better you can hire, the better you enable them, the better you lead, the better the company is going to be. I am curious. One thing I didn't ask you, and I'm just thinking of it right now. Do you have any type of white label go high level on the back end that you guys use as well? So is that in conjunction with school that you're going to be pushing?
Yeah, so it's funny. We do have a white label Go High Level.
Hmm.
We've had it for 2 years now, and the main reason I did that was because when I first started doing Go High Level, their support was not that amazing.
Hmm.
And I've talked to the founders of Go High Level when I was in San Diego. I spoke with them as well, so
Yeah.
I'm transparent, and it really wasn't that great. And they were growing fast, and so I was like, okay, I want to offer it to my clients, but I know that if I offer it, we're going to have to be providing the support for
Right.
it. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just create my own version of it and charge more so that way I could afford the support. And we have a pretty big support team just for our clients for Go High Level. That being said, while I was in San Diego speaking at Social Media Marketing World, I spoke with the founders there, and like they made a pretty strong case for me to actually come back over to their version of Go High Level and get rid of my white label version of it,
Interesting.
mostly because they have almost 4x in team size in the past 18 months. They have a huge support staff now. Like, they just went through growing pains. Like they
Yeah.
exploded. And so they have a huge
They took on
support.
VC capital, et cetera.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
they've grown really, really quickly, and the people that know what they're doing are in the support team. And like, so, and if I'm being honest with you, like, one of our values in our company is simplicity. So it's like, if I could just still make, so let's say affiliate commissions $49 a month or $47 a month, something like that. And right now we charge $197 a month. So, but I have overhead to it and there's complexity. So if I could just make $47 a month and just have no additional work, and I knew my clients were being served, even though I'm going to lose like multiple five figures a month in MRR, at scale, which is what I'm only in this game to play, especially with the
Yeah, of
community,
course.
it'll make way, I'm going to probably need more support for scaling school and helping my members in there than to also do it. And the other big thing is that as they become a bigger and bigger name, I feel that they're realizing that like Go High Level itself is becoming so famous that our members itself, our clients, they kind of already know what Go High Level is when they come in. So,
Mhm.
and a lot of them might even already have Go High Level. So now it's like, okay, then do they use their own Go High Level? Do they come to our white label SaaS? So we're trying to pretty much streamline the whole process. And literally, I don't know if we'll do it 100% yet because we have quite a bit of clients on the 197, but I have very much considered going back to the just affiliate for Go High Level and not having the 197 and just getting that off my plate entirely.
So last thing then is we talked literally 100% about business. I loved it. I think a lot of people are going to get value out of it. What what would just be maybe some advice you give to your younger self, or maybe some personal development things that you've done? You talked earlier about you don't drink anymore. Maybe if someone's listening outside of getting business acumen, mentors, coaching, whatever, or is there anything that you really feel, oh my gosh, these things have really helped me get to the level I'm at?
Hmm. Yeah, obviously there's so many of them. I would say that so there's a great book by Ray Dalio called Principles,
Yeah.
and it's a book that changed my life for sure. And I actually only read it about 16 months ago. But he, I'm a systems person. Ray Dalio is a systems
Hmm.
person. The idea is that like, your life, a lot of times people are just repeating the same mistakes over and over and over
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
And so what you can do is build a system to prevent yourself from making those mistakes over and over again. And that system is principles. Like, that, like, for example, for me, I know that when I drink alcohol, nothing good ever comes from it. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So like then I can just remove alcohol. That's a principle. I don't drink
Right.
alcohol. Now, in radical transparency, I still drink alcohol like 3 times a year, my birthday, New Year's Eve. But when I say drink, it's like 1 or 2 glasses of tequila. But
Right.
because I actually do like the taste of really good tequila. But I don't like drink to party or anything like that.
Right.
And so I created my own 42 principles that I kind of live my life by. But what I would suggest to somebody else here is it's my principle, but I got it from Ray Dalio, and it's pain plus reflection equals progress. So I think that a lot of people, they are so focused on progress. I want to progress. I want to progress. And I think that so people are so focused on the pain in their life, and they
Hmm.
reiterate the same pain, the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And I personally don't feel that enough people reflect. They don't do that other part of that equation. And I would say reflecting is like one of the things that I do a lot of. It's one of the things that I'm probably best at because I've been doing it so much. And so reflecting may be journaling, but journaling to me is like, I'm not going to bash anybody journaling, but most people just like write about their day. But I
Right.
actually have this full, I call it my personal optimization system, but it's like, not only will I journal, but I have a Google sheet that tracks like what time I went to bed, what time I woke up, what my aura readiness score is, what my sleep score is. And then I have 3 ratings every day. And it's how did I live my life, 1 to 10. And that would be like, you and I hanging out earlier before we started talking about some of the stuff we were talking about. I really enjoyed that, right? So that would increase my like friends, talking to friends. That always increases my life score. Then there's health. How would I rate my health? Drinks, drugs, sugar, gym, eating clean. How would I rate that 1 to 10? And then the final one is wealth, like how to business or wealth, like how did I rank my wealth or business on a scale of 1 to 10. And so by combining both like journals and by combining in like qualitative data from journals and
Hmm.
quantitative data from
Hmm.
stuff like that, I was able to really start identifying patterns. I was reflecting every Sunday. I spent 2 hours. I call it Ravi meeting in my calendar. And I spent 2 hours and I just analyzed my journal entries and this Google Sheet. And I just started noticing patterns. For example, I knew that I enjoyed spending time with like quality people who I can learn from.
Hmm.
That's one of the favorite things I love to do.
Same.
So like what I started doing is I put in a dinner every single Saturday night that I saw on my calendar now. And I'll do a dinner every week with a different person. And like I'll learn from them. It'll be sometimes a couple's dinner. We'll go out somewhere in Miami. And then I also have 4 trips a year I go on with other friends. And so like it's like once I identify these things that I enjoy, or things I don't like, I then just build these systems around them. And so I
Hmm.
don't have to experience them ever again, or I experience them more often than possible. And I'm not relying on my own decision making framework
Yeah.
to make it happen. So I guess I know that was a really long response, but I guess the simple version of that is like reflect more, like figure out a way to systemize your like your journal notes, taking something like that to where you can take 1 hour, 2 hours every Sunday and just think like, did I perform my absolute best this last week? Why did I not? And then how can I fix it the next week? And
Yeah.
the cheesy thing, even if you just change 1% every day, it'll
Yeah.
be compounded over time.
I'm
I
not
guess.
surprised to hear that the scaling with systems guy has a
I
system
know
for his
everybody
personal
jokes.
development.
Everybody jokes about it.
I just had
Everybody
to throw
jokes
it
about
out there.
it.
Ravi, I keep talking to you for hours, but tell people where they can find you, how they can get to know more about you. Where's the best places?
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me
Of
on. I
course, man.
literally
Of
loved it,
course.
and got to talk about a lot of really interesting stuff. Hopefully, people enjoyed it. For me, you can go to Instagram at Ravi Buvala, or YouTube. We talked about a lot about my YouTube, RAVIABUVALA. If you guys are interested in Scaling School, which we just launched, some of the stuff we talked about there, you can just go to scalingschool.com and check it out there.
Awesome, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, my man.